Hello everyone and welcome back to 27 Fox Place. I have a few things to clean in the kitchen today, and then I have a few meals to prep for the week. But first I need to start a load of laundry for tomorrow. I've already folded a load of laundry for today, so I just need to set up the washer to run in the morning. Our wedding anniversary is in October, and it's hard to believe that we've been married for over 30 years now. We've been together so long that I have to stop and count, but my husband still remembers to bring me flowers. This batch of roses is absolutely stunning, and I just wanted to share it with you. I have a load of whites to wash next. Setting up the laundry the day before always saves time, and it makes it much harder to back out of doing the laundry in the morning. I always wash the whites in hot water unless the label says otherwise, and I always add OxiClean when I wash the whites. I add OxiClean to the wash cycle and vinegar to the rinse cycle just to get them as clean as possible. Having serving bowls on display is a way to add practical decor to the kitchen, but when things are on display, they tend to get grimy and need to be cleaned. We don't use these serving dishes often, but even if they were stored away in a cabinet, we would still need to wash them before we could use them. I don't think we'll use them this year, but I still want to run them through the dishwasher before the holiday season starts. There's a few things in the kitchen that I need to catch up on today, and cleaning the fridge is one of them. I try to clean out the fridge every week or two. It's not too bad if I skip a week, but any more than that and it starts to get a little grungy. I always like to wipe out the fridge before we go shopping and fill it up again, mostly because it's much easier to clean out the fridge when it's not too full. We do have a few bins that make it easier to clear out the fridge and keep things organized. We have a counter depth fridge, so it's not as deep as a standard fridge. Most bins that fit a standard sized fridge would be much too long for this one, so the bins we have are much shorter. I don't clean out the entire fridge every time I clean it, but I do wipe down the shelves every time, and then I'll clean out any drawers that are empty. If the drawers are too full, then I'll skip a week so that they have a chance to empty out. I just use a damp microfiber cloth to wipe everything down and clean up any spills or crumbs that can cause odors. I know that most people think of cleaning the fridge as a big job, but I really don't spend a lot of time cleaning out the fridge. It only takes about 5 to 10 minutes depending on how much I need to clean out that week. I try to keep track of what we have on a daily basis so that things don't go bad, but this weekly clean out is a good time to organize what's left and make plans to use it up when I make up the grocery list. There are sections of the fridge that I like to clean out every week, but I usually skip over the bins on the doors unless I notice they need it. When the crisper drawers are full, then I'll usually clean out the bins on the doors unless I'm short on time. But one of the things I love about this fridge is that the bins on the doors are easy to remove so that I can carry everything to the sink at the same time instead of making 100 trips back and forth. The bins have a rubber liner to help keep things from sliding around and scratching up the bottom, and they also come out so it's easy to clean. And every time I clean out the fridge, someone will ask how to get the liners in the bins. It's a nice feature, but unfortunately they came with the fridge. A clean kitchen is a healthy kitchen, so I try to keep the countertops clean after every meal, but there's too much to do in the kitchen to get everything done all at the same time. Cleaning the fridge is always at the top of my list for health reasons, and it also saves money if we use up foods before they go bad. But the rest of the kitchen I clean on a rotation schedule. I can wipe down all the cabinets and appliances in about 10 minutes, which doesn't seem like a lot, but when you add in the garden window, the fridge, and the rest of the kitchen, it starts to add up. So when I clean up the kitchen at the end of the day, I also try to spend a few extra minutes to clean a section of cabinets or backsplash. And as long as I'm consistent, I can clean the entire kitchen in about a week. And once I make my way around the kitchen, I just start over again. And it's a really good system for the most part. But I'm not the most reliable at the end of the day. So of course, when I'm tired, well, I do less in the kitchen, so the cleaning gets stretched out. And when things get stretched out too far, then I typically have to stop and clean everything and start over again. And like everything else, I use a damp microfiber cloth to clean all the cabinets and appliances, but the damp microfiber leaves water spots on the stainless steel and glass, so I need to use a dry microfiber cloth to dry them off once I clean them.
I woke up in the middle of the night. Na. And I wondered how you're always right. It gets me. I couldn't see what you saw in me. But you showed me how to believe. Still gets me. When I look back, I can see you're hiding, waiting for a moment to step in. And I'll never understand how you saw it coming. Oh, but I will love you for it all. Yeah, I will love you for it all. It is hard to share my thoughts. Na. It's like cutting a wound in a bleeding heart. It gets me. But I know that you need it all. Na. Just give me some time, 'cause I need to know that you're staying. When I look back, I can see you're hiding, waiting for a moment to step in. And I'll never understand how you saw it coming. Oh, but I will love you for it all. When I look back, I can see you're hiding, waiting for a moment to step in. Oh, and I'll never understand how you saw it coming. Oh, but I will love you for it all.
There has been a chance of rain in the forecast this week. The overnight lows usually stay in the 50s until Halloween, and then the temperature really drops, so it's a good time to make soup. And since my husband found chanterelle mushrooms at Costco, I decided to make my favorite mushroom and barley soup. And if you like mushrooms, this is a hearty soup with lots of flavor, and it's easy to make. I can store it in the freezer, so it's a soup that we have on repeat during the fall and winter months. And I've already washed the mushrooms, so I just need to chop them into bite-sized pieces before I cook them. As usual, I'm taking a few liberties with this recipe, so I'll be sure to leave a link to the original recipe in the description box. The recipe does call for white mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms, but since I have the chanterelles, I'm swapping them out. And I'm also going to saute the mushrooms first so that I can cook everything in the same pot. And while I'm waiting for the mushrooms to turn a nice golden brown, I'll chop up the rest of the ingredients. This recipe calls for a mirepoix of carrots, onions, and celery. We don't have any celery, so I'm just going to add the carrots and onions directly to the soup instead of cooking them first. Browning the veggies definitely adds more flavor to the soup, but it's faster to skip that step, and I prepared the soup both ways, and it's delicious either way. Once the mushrooms are golden brown, I add the stock and the barley. I'm using chicken stock today, but you could use veggie stock instead. This soup needs to cook on the stove top for 2 hours, and I like to have a pot of soup simmering on the stove when it's cold and rainy outside, so I prefer to use the stove top, but you could also cook this soup in a slow cooker or even an Instant Pot to speed up the cook time. This recipe also calls for minced garlic, but I'm using roasted garlic today. I love the flavor of roasted garlic, so I keep them in the freezer so that I always have some on hand to add to soups and stews. The roast garlic is already cooked, so I can add it to the soup anytime. I just need to mash it into a paste so that I can mix it into the soup. But if you wanted to use minced garlic, you would want to saute it along with the mushrooms first. The soup needs to cook for 2 hours, so I have plenty of time to prep the next meal and clean up. I love sheet pan dinners because they're quick to make and even quicker to clean up. I don't have a recipe that I follow. I just throw together anything that I have in the fridge that needs to be cooked that day. Today I have Brussels sprouts, but before I can chop them up, I need to wash them first, and baking soda is a safe and effective way to remove chemical residues from produce. I mix up about a tablespoon of baking soda with a gallon of water, and I'll let the Brussels sprouts soak for about 10 minutes. And while I'm waiting for the Brussels sprouts, I can prep the rest of the veggies. When I'm making a sheet pan dinner, I try to pair up vegetables that will take the same amount of time to cook. So I can use root veggies like carrots and potatoes with the sprouts. Since I have sweet potato in the fridge, that's what I'm using. I also try to chop all of the veggies to the same size. They cook evenly that way, but the bigger the pieces, the longer it takes to cook, so I like to chop things up into 1-inch pieces. But if I have something that will cook faster, cutting them up into larger pieces will help even out the cook time. Before I add the veggies to the pan, I'm using a refillable sprayer to coat the pan with avocado oil. It will help keep the veggies from sticking to the pan, but lining the pan with parchment paper is another good option to help with cleanup. Because I don't follow a recipe, I don't measure out the veggies, but to figure out how much to use, I just think about how many portions I'm going to make. I can usually get 4 individual servings from 1 sheet pan dinner, so if I need a half a cup potato per serving, then I need 2 cups of potatoes, and if I need a cup of broccoli sprouts per serving, then I need 4 cups of Brussels sprouts. But I also don't want to overcrowd the pan with too many veggies. They roast better if they have a little space in between them. If the pan is too crowded, they will steam instead of getting brown and crispy, so I try to keep them in a single layer so that all of the veggies are touching the pan. I used a salad spinner to remove the excess water from the Brussels sprouts. The seasoning will stick much better if the veggies are dry, but leaving the excess water will cause them to steam. But for me, roasting Brussels sprouts until they're crisp and golden on the outside is the only way I want to eat them. I started with a 3-pound bag of Brussels sprouts. I used half of the sprouts for the sheet pan dinner, and I just loved meals that cooked once and eat twice. In the time it takes to make one meal, we have 4 individual servings that we can keep in the fridge and reheat for a quick meal during the week, and we still have the second half of Brussels sprouts prepped and ready to go when we need to make another meal. Before I season the veggies, I lightly coat them with avocado oil. It will help the seasoning stick to the veggies and it will keep them from drying out in the oven. Today I'm going to season them with a little salt and pepper, some dried oregano, and a little blackened seasoning to give the whole thing a little extra kick. Cajun seasoning is another good option if you don't have the blackened seasoning, but it does have more salt. There's still a bit more that I need to add to complete this meal, but I'm not going to cook them until later, so I can just set the veggies aside and clean up the kitchen. I always try to give the countertops a quick wipe down before I leave the kitchen, but at the end of the day I like to use Method's granite cleaner to give them a more thorough cleaning and make sure that there's no food left on the countertops.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. I'm trying to make this darkness go away. I'll paint with colors, and I'll sing until my lungs give out. I'm gonna let the sun shine in today. And I will leave my windows open so that I can hear the sound of people talking and the wind blowing in the trees. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light. Oh, and I'll try to spread my wings so I can fly. Oh, and the darkness starts to fade. Feels like things are gonna go my way. I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day. I'm gonna let the past be filled with smoke. And I will try to fix what has been broken. And take this weight off my shoulders, 'cause I know yesterday ain't coming back. I'm gonna let the past stay in the cold. I will listen to the ocean, let its unsaid words be spoken, and I'll let my mind be carried by the waves. Oh, I will open up my eyes so I can see the light.
The kitchen's all cleaned up, but there's nothing else I can do until the dishwasher is finished running. So I'm just going to let Rosie clean up the floors downstairs, and then I'll come back and finish putting everything away.
I'm gonna let the sun shine in the day.
Between work and home and all of the other obligations we have going on in our lives, there's no shortage of things that take up our time. Something we don't really stop to think about is that the more possessions we have in our home, the more time it takes to manage them. It can be challenging to decide just how much is too much to manage, and the answer will be different for everyone. There are definitely times when I think it would be easier if we had fewer things to take care of, but easier doesn't always mean happier. The real challenge is finding the right balance. If something doesn't add more value to our lives than the time it takes to manage it, or if it's causing too much stress to take care of it, then we're better off without it. But there are two questions that I always ask. First, do I have the time to take care of what we have? And if I do have the time, how much of that time do I want to spend? If the answer is no to either of those questions, then it's probably not worth having. This pan of roasted veggies can be divided up and paired with a protein for meal prep, but I had planned on having half of it for dinner today and then saving the other half for later on in the week. It takes about 25 to 30 minutes for the veggies to roast at 425 degrees, but I'm going to set a timer for 20 minutes so that I can add the rest of the meal. This combination of veggies goes well with sausage. I have an organic chicken sausage that I like to chop up to add more flavor. After the veggies have been cooking for about 20 minutes, I'll add the sausage and about a pound of shrimp. The sausage is already cooked, so it just needs to heat up. So once I add the sausage and the shrimp, I'll cook the whole thing for another 5 to 10 minutes or until the shrimp is cooked through.
I don't ever wanna be alone again. In spite of all, you're my best friend.
The recipe for the soup calls for 3 quarts of broth, but I like the soup to be a little bit thicker, so I only use 2 quarts of broth, which helps to give the soup a nice creamy consistency. And my husband will eat half of this soup before I even get a chance to put it away. But I like to use the 2-cup silicone molds to freeze whatever's left for the next rainy day.
The way you looked at me before makes me want you even more. If you want to, I'm up.
That's all for today. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notifications before you go. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I hope to see you next time.